Welcome to Your Message Matters. So, we are in a series of 3 lessons so far, and these have all been about how to very quickly create an ebook to sell on Amazon. And I just noticed I need to do something very quickly. I have my voice to text. Kind of funny that it is on because we're going to talk about some of the tools that you can use today to get your book done quickly, easily, and useful in the marketplace so that you add value to the people that you care about, that are possible clients, are possible people that you know need your message. So I'm so excited that I can offer you simple solutions to getting things done. I do know that when we first think about writing a book, it seems like this Mount Everest in our life. And of course, everything's more clear when you look back at what you've done or achieved. And I remember thinking the same exact thing. I thought, I can never get a book done because it seems monumental. And then after I got it done, what I realized is I really had put so much stuff into it mentally that it almost seemed like it was impossible. So I want to help you realize that it is not an impossibility to create a quick book or ebook in this case and get it working for you very quickly. I get that if I say you can get an ebook done within a few days, that it probably will freak you out. And with the tools that we have today, it is not only possible, but I'm going to kind of give you some of the warnings about using some of the AI tools and what makes you stand out and how you can actually create something that works for you, not so general that you have no idea what the impact may be, if any. So, hello there today. I am so grateful you're here, and welcome to another episode of Your Message Matters. This is where we turn your life victories into vibrant stories that make an impact in others. My name's Lori Raupe, and I'm the founder of the Butterfly Publishing Company. We are a self-publishing firm, and we help you get your book done and in the marketplace. Whether you want your book to be your business or you want your book to be a part of your business, either way, you can pay attention to what we do here on the show and make these things work for you. So grab your favorite beverage, may it be a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like best, and let's dive into part 3 of this series of how to make a quick ebook to make it work for you. And let's make your story shine. I really believe that your ebook is a spotlight on you. So my warning using some of the tools available to us today is in order for the spotlight to be on you, you really need to have you in your book. So using tools like ChatGPT, if you do decide to use AI tools, they work for helping you create maybe titles. They work for creating a great outline, but it will not work to create your whole book without any of you in it. You need your stories, your perspectives, your input so that it reflects you, not whatever it's collecting in the World Wide Web. So this is a series of videos that I'm doing. Today is number 3. So if you have not watched video 1, you need to go back. And if you've not watched video 2, you should go back. So in video one, we kind of talked about where to start, your big idea, what theme you want to convey, the problem you solve, the solution, and who is it for. That is the primary foundation of your book. Last week, we talked a little bit about research and some other things that all set you up to create your book that will sell. And this week, we're going to tap into a few more things that will help you along the way. And these are sequential. I would not do number 3 without doing 1 and 2, if that makes any sense. And just a little disclaimer, by the time you go back to watch 1 and 2, I really want you to know that there was a little glitch on the platform when Women TV. I think it was error operator error, my error, but it has been uploaded now and it should be available soon. So if you haven't seen 1 and 2, I would go back, as I said. So an ebook really is easy peasy. It sounds like Mount Everest because you're creating a book, but what if it was so niched down that it wasn't quite the Mount Everest that you picture it to be? That's what I did with my latest book. So let me show you what we're talking about, just so you see exactly what I did with it, the purpose of it, and the niche that it serves. Because you know what they say about the niches? They say there are riches in the niches. Well, I don't know that that is true particularly, but what I do know is you do truly need to have an idea, that problem, the solution you provide, and do it your way. So I am going to share my screen as soon as I find the share button. It's right there. I'm going to share the Amazon page, if I can find my Amazon page. What happened to my, I had it all ready for you. Where is my Amazon page? Here it is. Let me share this just so you see what I'm talking about, because I don't want you to in the dark. That's no good, right? Let's see. So I'm going to move this over so I can see it a little bit better. So this is the book that I created, Launch Like a Pro, Essential Email or Text Templates for a Successful Book or for Successful Book Launches. That's assuming you may write more than one book. But these can be used as templates to help you over and over again. They're not a one and done thing. In fact, it shouldn't be one and done. You should always be thinking about how you can promote the book that you already have if you have one. And if you don't have one yet, create a calendar for yourself. Each month, look for podcasts to be on or other areas that you might be able to mention your book. So recently, I was listening to a lady at a networking event, and it's kind of interesting to me because there's a lot of philosophies behind marketing. Now, she does social media, and that is the problem she solves, is she solves social media for businesses, small businesses that don't have their own social media person. So what she was saying, which is very different from a lot of people I've heard talk about this, is that you should be on multiple platforms. I would say, and I know that she knows this too, I don't remember her saying it, but I know she knows this, that you should not be on multiple platforms if your ideal client or your perfect fit reader is not on multiple platforms. But for the sake of argument, say they are. Say you are dealing with a business person who's very active on LinkedIn. Well, you should be on LinkedIn if you're looking for that person. But they might also hang out on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or TikTok. And is there any more? X. You know, there might be, they may go to different places looking for different things. So you need to go where your people are, wherever they are. And it's kind of interesting because I was listening to something completely unrelated this morning, and the speaker said that adults spend 10 hours on social media. You might think 10 hours a week. No. Take it back, take it back, take it back. That's not what I meant to say. Adults spend 10 hours on the screen. So it could be your phone, could be a computer, could be a tablet, but some kind of a screen. They spend 10 hours. And at first I thought he was going to say a week, but no, it's a day. 10 hours a day on the screen. Now, granted, a lot of people work and the screen could be their job. So that's 8 hours or part-time, maybe 4 or 6. But when you think about it, that's kind of crazy. That's a lot of time where we are looking at a screen. Because if we're looking at a screen, we're probably not interacting a whole lot with people. And people's kind of what makes the world tick, right? I mean, we all need people. Remember that old song, People, People Who Need People? Well, I think people do need people, so I think we ought to look at that. But you can use that to your advantage in that you know people are on the screen. So I digress a little bit there, but I thought that was interesting. So back to this ebook, I created an ebook that has templates in it for you to launch your book. So one of them is save the date. So you want to let your tribe, whether you're texting them, messaging them, posting on social media, or using an email campaign, you can use these templates for pretty much any venue. But you need to let people know and let them in on your big secret that shouldn't be a secret, that you're writing a book, that you're walking yourself through this process. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing, but this is what I'm talking about. You can have this up and running very, very quickly. But first, what do we need to do to get our ebook up and running very, very quickly? Well, like I said, and I don't want to say it over and over again, but you do need to know those basics that we cover in video 1 and video 2. So, it's funny. You also need to have some kind of a transformation. You want to have a transformation. So in my little ebook that I wrote, you might think, well, it's just emails. What is a transformation when it comes to that? Well, it is a transformation. It might not be a transformation in the same way that we did for Susie's book, but the transformation in that little book is educating somebody on what kinds of things they could do to have a successful book launch by communicating the book launch that the book they're working on, the save the date, the what's happening, what you expect your tribe to do for you, what you will hope they do for you, what you're asking them to do. All of that is in there. So there is a transformation. You go from not knowing to knowing something. If you're writing any other kind of book and you're telling your story, for example, in a memoir, you might be like Susie. So Susie started writing her book, and it was a painful journey. Her book, the name of it is Sow in Tears, Reap in Joy. And she used journals from as far back as her childhood. I was kind of envious because, as many of you know, I lost everything in the Cedar Fire. So I don't have a whole lot of my past in tangible assets, so to speak. So I was really excited to hear from her. What did she write when she was a little girl? What kind of things were her concerns? What did she think? And she was able to pour a lot of this into her book. But you don't want your book to just tell a story. Now, I say the word just. I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Your story is important. Your message does matter. You matter. What you've been through matters. All of that is at the core of your book, but you're writing for the reader to have a transformation. So as I was working with Susie over a long period of time, I want to say it was close to 2 years that we worked together to get her book done. She started with her journals and she was typing in her work. There are tools where you don't need to type if you don't want to. Now, if you're a good typist, go for it. But if you're like me and I seem to be more verbal than able to type as fast as my brain goes, talking and using voice to text works so much better. So as we progressed, Susie wanted to type it in, and I think it was good for her to do that because it gave her a chance to really witness firsthand through her own writing what she had gone through. And I think that is so special. And it's interesting to me that one of the other things that we worked through along the way is the validation that her story is special and will make an impact with others, especially when we got to the end and really focused on how did she create her life today, making sense of what she had been through and how it had impacted her life. She didn't see the value of her story. And I'm glad that she worked with me because I was able to validate her and her story. So she had to confront some of these truths from her life. But after about 1.5 years, we still didn't have the transformation for her reader. And it was so funny how it happened. I think it was a God thing for sure. She had gone to church on a Sunday, and we had a call that same week. And we were working on our book, had nothing to do with church or Sunday or anything else. We were talking about her book and what we were doing. I was asking her questions. She was asking me questions. We were figuring things out. And all of a sudden, we were just talking, just chatting. And she said, my pastor had the best message last Sunday. And I said, really, what was it all about? And she started to share it with me. And I said, that's it, Susie. This is it. This is what you needed for your book. This is your system. This is what you've done. That's why it resonated so much with you as you were hearing your pastor talk. And so we were able to craft the transformation for her book. So it wasn't just a story. Not that that's not good enough, because your story is good enough. No matter what it is, there is somebody that needs to hear it. But we could put together a three-step thing, a three-step system or method or blueprint for you to create a life, even though your childhood may not have been the best, even though your marriage had some flaws, even though, even though, even though. It is what comes after the even though that will help your reader have a transformation, no matter what you're writing about. So we created her system, we articulated it. Her book is inspirational, but also is a self-help book so that you get the transformation when and the method of how to change things in your life without what I should say is that with it being told through the story. She didn't even really realize what had happened at first. It was so cool to see it unfold. So my point is, you do need to have systems or steps or a how-to or some kind of value for your reader to take away. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit more this week. So once you have created your theme or the big idea, and you've brainstormed what chapters you want within your book, if you want chapters at all, you need to think in terms of how are you going to craft this to make it make sense. A very easy blueprint, I think, is to come up with a chapter title that is one aspect of the book theme. So you've brainstormed this already. We've talked about it already. You've done all of this, and now you have your outline and you are filling in your text, your manuscript within the confines of your outline. But how do you make that look? I mean, what makes sense? And so each chapter, one way, there's many ways, but one way that I think is the easiest is to have a chapter title. And again, you want something intriguing that might even create a little curiosity. However, not mysterious. You don't want it so clever that nobody gets it. I was helping another author one time, and he was making some references that I didn't understand at all. And when I was asking him about it, he goes, "Oh, well, it was somebody in history." And I was like, "Oh, okay." It was pretty mysterious, but he really felt that the reader should know that. And I thought, well, I must not be the perfect reader for him because I didn't get it at all. We don't want to be in, we don't want our book to be steeped in mystery so much so that it's not understood. You can help the reader by clarifying what you're going to talk about in the title, maybe even a subtitle. I love using quotes to help anchor the message, or verses. If your ideal perfect fit reader is a person of faith, then using verses is a wonderful thing. However, I did not use verses in my first book. I know that'll surprise many people. But the reason why is my book was not necessarily written for somebody that was already a person of faith. It was a walk through life giving tidbits of what I believe help a person become successful. And I didn't really talk about my faith until the very end of the book. So I didn't use scripture verses, although I really wanted to. I just kind of felt like that was how God wanted it done, if that makes any sense to you at all. So if your reader is faith-based, you may want to use scripture verses. But if you are wanting to share your faith, and that could be off-putting to some people, as sad as that sounds, if somebody picks up a book and sees a bunch of Bible verses, they're going to think, oh, maybe this isn't for me, if they don't connect with that. So knowing your reader is really important. So you could have your title, your verse, or your quote, if you'd like. That kind of sets the scene for what you're going to write about. When you write the context of your chapter, a lot of ways, or in many ways, it's kind of fun to start with a question, because then you get your reader thinking, what is it that I'm going to see in this chapter? Or what do I want the reader to think about from the very beginning that will kind of set the pace for what you're sharing? So starting with a question is a good idea. Make sure that you are not writing a lot of personal pronouns like I, me, mine. You want to switch those sentences around to pull in the reader with words like you, yours, those kinds of words, because now you're personalizing it for them. It's not all about you, it's all about your story, certainly, but it's about them. So use a title that describes what you're going to, or what they're going to learn, what you're going to share within that chapter. Then you write your chapter of whatever that is. Make sure that your stories help teach the points. You can use statistics and you can use all kinds of information. But remember, we don't want to have so much information without the stories that make it personal, that teach it in a wonderful way. We are showing the reader what we're talking about rather than telling them what we're talking about. Show, not tell, if that makes sense. And then what I love, love, love to do is have some action things at the end of the chapter. So you could have questions for them to journal. You could have them, you could write something that they should do as a result. So maybe you're writing about kindness, for example. Well, you could challenge them at the end of that chapter to go out and see what it's like to just spread kindness in a way that you're sharing, if that makes sense. So it's kind of fun to do, to craft each chapter and think about what kinds of things can you put in that chapter that will really embrace that thought so that your reader fully understands what you're trying to convey. So once we have that template, if you will, of what we're trying to achieve, now how do you get all of that content filled in? Well, there are a couple of resources you can use, and I'm just going to touch on them very quickly before we end out this show. This is video number 3, and we will have at least one more, maybe 2. I'm very excited about you actually walking through this process and getting your ebook done too. So how can you get it done quickly and fast? Well, there's a couple of ways. One way I want to share with you that I think I've mentioned before, I created a series of emails. You can do this too. Just model them after what I did. I do not have the monopoly on creating things. But what I did was I created 30 emails that you get in your inbox that walk you through this process, and every day there's an action step, maybe 2. Most of them just have 1. But it cements the process and it teaches you what to do along the way in simple bite-sized pieces. It's 30 days. You're going to get 30 of them in 30 days, but you can do it self-paced. So look for me on Facebook if you're interested in that. And I am going to be putting it in the Win-Win Women store, and it's on my website. So it's easy to find. However, if you need help, please reach out to me. I want to give you a couple of tips on how to get your text done, your content done very quickly. So you have your outline, you know what stories you're going to tell because you've identified the stories that will teach the point. Remember, never have a point without a story, and never tell a story that has no point. It has to relate to that topic that's in your chapter. You can do voice to text. You can do it in Google. You can do it on Microsoft Word. You can do it on Apple's Pages, Google Docs. And even in I didn't have my phone handy here, but in my phone is a voice recorder. It's a little app that looks like an old-timey cassette player. Use one of those and speak your stories and then edit them when you're all done. I say when you're all done because sometimes we get bogged down in the edits. So do them all and then go back, and it will help your mind to keep going rather than getting stuck on how should I say that? Is this better or that better? Is this sentence needed or not? Oh, did I ramble? Don't even worry about any of that. You're going to edit when you're all done. And if you want, you can also put your once you're finished with your voice to text, you can put that in Grammarly. You can put it in ChatGPT to help it make it sound a little better. But remember, when you're using AI, you want to keep your own voice. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful for you. I love sharing the things that I'm doing and how I'm doing it to get it faster for you. And I hope it makes sense as we walk through this process. I hope that you create some ebooks, more than one, do many. Make them that niched down that you are only sharing a part of what you do to your ideal readers so that they want more. And when they want more, Guess what? If you do these little ebooks and make a series of them that people like, they're going to love you and want to do business with you. That's my thought for the day. I'm so grateful that you are here and that you spent time with me. Thank you so much.